in U.S. history.
Mike McCall, chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, telling CBS's Face the Nation he thinks he knows who was behind last week's hacking of millions of government employees' personal data.
In my judgment, this was an attack by China against the United States government. It quantifies to espionage.
Front-running GOP presidential hopeful Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker in agreement with the White House, but not with most other potential Republican candidates, that we don't need to send more troops into Iraq to fight ISIS.
I believe right now we have a capacity to reclaim Iraq with the Iraqi forces are there as long as we unleash the power that's already there of the American Armed Forces.
Governor Walker on ABC's This Week. President Obama and Iraq's Prime Minister will discuss the fight against ISIS tomorrow. They're meeting at the G Summit, which is underway now in Germany. I'm Michael Toscano.
Johnny wants to be a performer, and everybody knows school costs money. Johnny wants to know what he has to do to become a performer. Plus, he needs experience before he decides to spend the money for school. Johnny's confused. He has no one to talk to about his choices. He then hears an ad on the radio about Media8tor Arts Academy, where he can perform, network, train, and find a place to prepare for school. Johnny has found a place to expand his talents to make his decision and also increase his resume. Now, let's explain how Johnny got signed up. He went online to Media8inc.com and clicked on register. They called him back, asked him what his vision was, then found a place for him to perform. Whether it's theater, music, or movies, as long as Johnny is willing, Media8inc.com is able. And that's the story of how Johnny became a performer through Media8 Arts Academy.
Lawmakers demanding answers this weekend from the company that manages the ruptured California pipeline, which caused the recent Santa Barbara oil spill. Pat Piper with more.
The letter comes from California Senators Barbara Boxer and Dianne Feinstein. They question the company's slow response to the original pipeline rupture, especially in light of what they call the firm's troubling safety record. And they point out that a company inspection of the affected pipeline section found that 45% of the pipe wall had worn away, while an independent inspection found 82% corrosion.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says the two prisoners who broke out of an upstate maximum security prison left behind a taunting note. Cuomo says the note reads, "Have a nice day." Convicted murderers Richard Matt and David Sweat are still on the loose after using power tools to break out of the Clinton Correctional Facility. That's about 20 miles south of the Canadian border. Hundreds of police officers are in the manhunt this afternoon. I'm Michael Toscano.
Have you ever thought about publishing a book, but just didn't know how to do it? Well, at Media8, we try to make publishing simple. You ask questions, we give you answers. You want a book? We find the right option for you to publish. When you need advice about getting your methods out to the world, Media8 is the place to call. Register today at Media8inc.com, where we make ideas seem simple.
This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. It was a nightmare.
Flight 807, you're clear for landing. Runway 7, Bravo. All personnel report to the nearest tornado shelter. This is not a drill.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
All doctors to the ER. All nurses to the nurses station. Code blue 305. 10-4 engine, highway 3 engine. Shots fired, shots fired. Officer down. I repeat, officer down. 911, what's your emergency? Backup is en route.
Evacuations continue tonight in Maribel.
Apartments, you can see this evacuation notice on one door.
Rolling, motion, roll sound, and action.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ohioans, Pennsylvanians, welcome to the Mediator. It is me and Alicia Sparks, as usual, in the studio.
Hello.
We have my man, Mr. Smith. Are you there online, Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Excellent,
Hello.
excellent. We got a nice topic today. I thank you for stepping in today, Mr. Levensky Smith.
Yes.
I thank you for stepping in for we were going to bring Tony Budak, but he had some family issues, so we had to bring my man, Mr. Smith. But I'm sure you're going to step in fine. Now, today's topic is right around your alley. We're talking about not only just theater, but what entertainment can do for communities and how it can build it up. I'll give a little intro real quick. First of all, what I like to say is every generation has been faced with entertainment. It shapes our community, it shapes our environment, it shapes the clothes we wear, it shapes who we are as human beings. When we see the people on TV, we want to be like them, we want to sing like them.
Yes.
And that's why we have my man, Mr. Smith, on the show. He's going to talk about his life as an entertainer and just being a performer, what he's learned, some of the people he's passed and crossed paths with. And he's going to give us that idea of what it's like for me, Brian West, trying to do the moonwalk on the Media8tor. Sparks, you ready for this? You ready for this lovely topic, Sparks?
I definitely am.
Let me introduce you to my lovely co-host, Miss Alicia Sparks. She is from the same area I am. She likes to hike and she does bike rides through the park on late afternoons. No, I'm just kidding.
Definitely
so,
not.
Mr. Levensky, tell us about your career, man. How did you get into entertainment?
Well, first of all, how are you, Miss Sparks?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm well.
Good.
Well, I'm from the east side of Youngstown, Ohio. I'm born, bred, and raised in Youngstown, Ohio, and I'm a product of some very early traumatic experiences.
Oh, wow.
But within those traumatic experiences, I had a sister, 9 years my senior, who pretty much poured herself into me in the area of arts. Like,
nice.
She loved to sing, she loved to dance, and this, that, and the other. And then I would go and watch her perform in the hood, and everybody loved her, so I wanted that attention. I wanted that attention as well, so that was my first inspiration. And she introduced me to Michael Jackson.
Nice.
And just watching Mike and everything, I knew that I could do it, I believed it, but we were in the hood.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
So, I guess that's where the initial spark began, but the real dream was to be an Olympic gymnast.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that was the real dream. My sister was, like I said, pouring herself into me, but I still had my own ideas of what I wanted, and I guess I was like 5 years old.
Yeah, I mean, because I think everybody gets that one performer they see and they like, man, I could do that, you know. And I think that's what embraces us throughout our lives is these entertainers. Now, what makes you think? Why do you think people so much are attracted to entertainers? Well, I mean, what do you think about that, Mr. Smith?
Well, it's called almost vanity in a way. I hate to say it, but the reality of it, even if it's not pretentious vanity, it is indeed all vanity because you want applause. You want to be appreciated. You want to be respected. And especially, most artists are people who've been through some really horrific things.
Right.
That's why they become artists, because they're able to focus their energies in a different place in order to divert whatever traumas that they've experienced. And that was one of the things that created the artistic inclination within myself, that I needed to feel connected. I needed someone to love me.
Yes.
I needed someone to care about me, and I wasn't really getting that at home.
Yeah.
Save from my sister and my mother.
Right.
Yeah.
It's an outlet.
So,
it's an outlet.
it was an absolute outlet. It was an escape.
Yes.
It was an escape.
Yes.
So,
Mr. Levensky, where did you begin training? At what point in time did you say, okay, enough is enough? I've seen enough Michael Jackson videos. I know I can do this.
Yeah.
What step do I take now to get there? Where did you begin your training?
okay, well, prior to the first 18 years of my life, you wouldn't be caught dead. You wouldn't catch me dead in a ballet, modern, or jazz class.
Right.
That wasn't what the homies were doing back in the day. And I was already so eclectic and different. I said, oh, man, if I did that, I would send them over to Ed, and they'd probably want to kill me.
Right.
So I just stuck with the gymnastics, and I danced. I started in the streets.
Nice.
Literally in the streets. And I think kids should never underestimate the power of their imagination.
Yes.
Because imagination, as Einstein said, is more important than knowledge.
That's right.
verbatim of what he said, but the gist of it is that utilize what you got in your mind, believe. And I actually believed that I was a dancer, and then of course that was helped through watching Michael Jackson and my sister. And but to answer your specific question, I was a senior in high school. I was going to be getting out of Youngstown. I knew that. And everybody was saying, why don't you just become... That was actually a student, a colleague of mine, a football player, who actually sparked me and said, man, look, you can dance. Everybody know you from that. You need to just focus on that and become a professional dancer. And it was because of him that I said, you know what? I'm going to go to college and start taking some classes.
Nice.
And that's what I did.
So do you think...
Where'd you go?
Yeah, where'd you go?
I went to Otterbein College at Westerville, Ohio. It's far away. I literally plugged out of the matrix of Youngstown and ended up in a complete different matrix of Caucasian country. It was wonderful for me because I've always been about adventure and learning. But that's where I got ballet 1. The first semester I had, that was the summer of, late summer of 1989.
Awesome.
I had a ballet 1 class, a modern 1 class, and a jazz 3 class beginning September of 89. By February of 90, I booked my first professional job.
Look at that.
Amazing.
I'm so excited to hear that. I, too, attended college for dance. I went to Point Park University in Pittsburgh.
Oh, wonderful.
So I too can understand that.
She's a wonderful dancer.
I'm very, very excited to hear that.
Yes.
Okay.
So tell us now. Now, do you think male dancers are respected in the industry, or do you think there is a?
I think that there is a horrible stigma to all dancers in general because you're gay until proven straight.
Right. But you know what? I would have
That's
to.
crazy.
I would have to say that I think over the last couple of years, and when I say couple, I mean like the last 4 to 5 years. It's changed. It's changed a great deal because...
No, sweet. No. No, it hasn't really... I know what you're saying. It's more tolerant because
there you
now
go.
the world is being exposed
It's more accepted.
to more of things. Yes. But see, that's you either in it or you're not. Whatever God made you to be is what it's going to be. And I'm going to tell you, you cannot ever let your feelings or emotions or somebody else's opinion affect what is the gift in you. I had the gift of performance and dance, but I had no idea that it was what it was until I ended up in that first job. And I came in, it was like Kings Island Amusement Park in Mason, Ohio, near Cincinnati. I was in the main stage show, and Carmen Electra was my dance partner.
Nice.
Before she was Carmen Electra. A month before she was Carmen Electra. So I got there, and when I got there, all these guys came in, and they were behaving in ways that I just wasn't ever used to. Or anything that I've never seen before. Not like to that level. And I had to question myself. I was like, okay, wait a minute. Am I going to do this job? Or am I going to let my biases and my things that I've taught all through my life keep me from this money I'm about to get? Or am I going to let live and let live and get in here and do what I got to do and get my respect? And get my respect. And that was the best move I've ever made. I didn't walk out.
Kudos to you for that.
You know what I learned, Levensky, is I remember when I was younger, I would play basketball, and I was very good at defense. I didn't have a good offensive game. And speaking about basketball, I figured I'd using that as an example because the championship, they're playing the championship. But
go Cleveland.
The thing is I think what happens is you don't learn to respect the artist or the basketball player or the football player until you actually learn the rules of engagement. You learn the language, and you see how much time these people, I think Michael Jackson had a hard time with criticism. They thought, because he'd spent his whole life in front of people and nobody really understood this artist. Nobody understood this. And I think a lot of celebrities...
Well, they don't. And I think that's the problem. I'm sorry for interjecting.
No, you're fine.
I just wanted to catch the thought that... you're forced to almost, like, you have people, you have the artist, and then you have the real person. And people have a problem with deciphering the two. All they understand is what's being perpetrated on television and on film, and they have no respect to the idea that these are human beings with a talent or a gift that's taken them to a different level. They're no better than you. I mean, I've had some humbling experiences because I've worked with several different celebrities and different things at different times, and God has really protected me, I believe, from just the business in and of itself by teaching me directly by working with these people, and you see some really horrific things. Some crazy things, and it's not what you think it is. Half of the time, like, it's a ruse. Like, they create the culture and they put it out, and you follow and you buy it and you eat it. And unfortunately, right now with music, they're just feeding garbage. I call it GOB.
It is.
GOB. Like short, I call it GOB, which is an acronym for garbage over hot beats.
No content.
Now, what do you think went wrong? Everybody's talking about this. This is a big thing because.
Come on, man. What do you think went wrong? Come on, I know it went wrong because I was in it.
In our generation, let me explain to you. Okay, when a group came out, they were uniformed. They had their steps down. I mean, everybody was in unison. And now it's like tap tap my mama, tap tap my mama. You know, beat that drama. You know, that's
There's
really
no filter.
There's no. It's just. And then you talk to
Okay, wait. Before we go on a bash campaign, because we can easily do that and spend a lot of time talking about the perpetuation of ignorance in our community through music and through our images and through what we have allowed ourselves to fall victim to. We enslave ourselves because we don't educate ourselves. So you got executives. Think about it like this.
Yeah.
You got executives that are looking at a community of people, and first of all, they're filled with deprivation, socially, economically, judicially, in every way they've been deprived financially. And so, okay, now we came up with something in the 80s called rap. Actually, in the late 70s.
Hip-hop.
Then in the 80s, it was meant to open up the minds of the people and give them a voice. But then what strategically happened is that you got to be able to put a little salt in the game and give everybody what they want. Now it's open. Everybody's listening. Now you got the executives saying, okay, well, if we put this out, and we choose what is on the radio, then that's what the people are going to believe what is hot, and they're going to either like it or not, but they're going to get hooked to that hook, especially if the beat is hot.
Because it keeps us repeating.
The beat's got to be hot because the black community, not just, I'm going to speak about the black community, this is all communities.
All communities,
but the black community in general respond to rhythm and music and beats.
It's in our nature.
Taking this wonderful, that's why I call it GOB. Garbage over hot beats.
So I mean, now we talk about how it impacts the community and how it changes. I mean, just not this the things that go into it, but music in general, entertainment, the arts. Now, do you think that was strategically done? I mean,
as a distraction.
I know it was. I mean, okay, you know what? That should be fair. This is my opinion. This is my opinion, but you know, you got to remember, I was thrust into. I left here in 1989, and by 1994, I was on Broadway. I had never had any previous training, so that was God moving through me in an accelerated way to get me to understand some stuff, to come back and wake these kids up and say, look, stop being followers, because you're involved in something that's leading you to a race to the bottom, and you're doing it willingly because you have become mesmerized with these phones and with the social media, and then with the garbage that is being, spoken in your ear on a consistent basis through the music. It's depleting. It was strategically done to, you cannot, okay, I'm going to give you a perfect example, and I'm going to shut my mouth. Watch this. A friend of mine in New York City, I'm going to give you a perfect example of what's going on.
Okay.
There's an 80-year-old owner of a major record company in New York City.
Okay.
And she's working for this guy. She's in A&R back in the day. This is like 94 or whatever.
Okay.
So she's telling me the story. She says that she goes in and she got this new artist, and she goes to let them listen to it, to the board of executives to listen to it, because they're the ones that's ultimately making a decision if you're going to be on or not.
Yes.
So she took this music to him, and he listened to it, and this is an old white Jewish man, and he listened to the music and told her to stop, and he told her that it's not trap enough.
Wow, that is crazy.
And she said, "Excuse me."
Wow,
that is crazy.
Me? She said, "First of all, don't you ever talk to me like that. But see, that story just tells me of the reality of what I've watched.
Yep.
I know many people from dancers that's been in the business. You see all these people dancing behind Janet and Michael and the rest. I done been and danced with them somewhere, or we done crossed paths in
Yeah,
some way,
seen your
shape, or form.
profile.
So
Right.
you get to see the ins and outs of the business,
Yes.
and it is a beast.
Yes.
It is an absolute beast.
Eat or be eaten.
So now you talk about the Jewish sect. Now these are supposed to be. I think there's a confusion. There's been a confusion between Jews and non-Jews and Christians for a long time. And you talk about now these are supposed to be God's chosen people. And I don't think that if that's what you're saying, I don't think God that's honorable. So in a sense, that sounds like
but it's about the business.
that's messed up.
No. I don't think it's anything other than just what Ms. Sparks just said.
About the business.
This is business.
That's right.
They are, look, when the Jewish people came over to America, they were running away from absolute craziness.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolute madness that should not, nobody should have to go through anything like what they've gone through. But they're shrewd, they're business people, and
Very
when they came here, the jobs that they gave them were financial jobs, and they gave them the arts, the theater.
Right.
Now, guess what? Jewish people own Hollywood. Don't be mad at them.
That's right. That's right.
They work for that.
And they know how
that's
to.
theirs.
They know how to come together as a community. They know how to build off of each other.
That.
They know how
I
to.
love that you just said that. I love
to create
that.
a network, because that's one thing that the African American community has an issue with, and I can attest to it because I have several businesses myself where we'd rather compete against each other than come together and build with each other, and I think that's the biggest downframe. But backing up a little bit, we're talking about the community. Why is the performing arts needed so much in the community? I know what it is for me, but I want to hear your sector. You being a person that did leave, that did get educated, that was able to move on and do miraculous things within your own art and craftsmanship. So now that we're back here, we're talking about being in Youngstown, the community. Why is it so important to you?
I guess the only thing that I can really say is that it is important to be a vessel. And I had to be... What happens with humanity in and of its own period is that sometimes we get prideful and don't even realize that we're prideful. We forget from where we come from, per se. I believe that me coming back here right now and allowing people to see that I am a human being and I'm not better than anybody, and I'm willing to give you what I've learned. It's important for the community to give them hope and to see that, okay, for me, and there are other gentlemen that made it outside of the community that went to school under me. There's a gentleman who was a professional opera singer, and he's world-renowned, Lawrence Brownlee. And then there's a guy who actually had a record deal who graduated under me. He had a rap contract. His name is Rufus Black. So we all went to the same high school and got out of Youngstown and got into these arts. We are pretty much beacons. I consider myself a beacon because I came here feeling like I could just pour myself into people. But I forget that you have to have a level of maturity in order to understand and receive the information that's available.
So question. Go ahead, Mr. Smith. I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say. So you don't think that? See, one thing I've noticed about human nature, and I read scripture quite a bit, is they say that our natural nature is carnal. We are naturally carnal creatures. So what amazes me is, do you think that tells you something about a person's character by them accepting the type of music that's being out right now?
Well, I mean, that's interesting that you said that because I grew up religious, but I'm a very, very spiritual man.
Yes.
And I think that you have to remember that by nature we are human, but we're also human beings.
Yes.
A lot of people forget the being side is that spirit side. So they just focus on the temporal and on the carnal, unfortunately, because that's what's right in their face. They're only sensory. It's sensory orientation.
Ooh, that's
it's
good.
perceptive reality. What's right in front of you is what you believe it is if you have nothing to weigh it from.
Right.
There's things in your community, like for instance, in our community there's a lot of backbiting. There's a lot of adults that cannot and don't understand the necessity of unity, and so their kids are running amok because they're not raised properly.
They're not being taught.
And so they're not getting what they need, and it's just criminal. And on top of it, you got people in power that are blocking. So the arts in and of itself opens up a way for hope and belief for those who are. Think about it. You got you'd be squandering all kinds of talents if the arts were not in the community.
Agreed.
I mean, we're known for artistic inclination and athleticism, you know, in our community. So I didn't have those outlets, and you know what? I didn't really need them because I recognize that what God prepares you for in your DNA, it doesn't matter how or long or what. You can come out and He can make you this one day, and He can take you from here to there. But that's faith.
Yes.
And I think that's what I had, a little bit of faith, and I had a little bit of early training and experience, and I wanted to be seen.
Right.
Unfortunately, I really wanted to be seen. I wanted to be in the front man. Hey, here I am.
Yes.
Here it goes. And it worked. I mean, literally, it worked because I've literally been around the world. And I got bored.
Right.
I lived in Times Square for 20 years.
Oh, man.
Times Square.
Wow.
So you got bored at Times Square, huh?
I was sitting in my apartment. June of 2014. It was actually the last thing that I did was a movie called Black Nativity.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that on your rap sheet.
Right.
So after that movie, I was so disenchanted with the business.
Wow.
I was like, I rebuke whatever is moving mine.
Be gone.
In the name of Jesus. And I got to figure out where I belong and all this because there is no fault that I've done it. But it's like, here I am sitting twiddling my fingers like, I'm not going to compromise myself.
Right.
I'm not going to do just any kind of work. And it's filthy right now. It's just a straight up Pandora's box is not open. It's ripped off the hinges.
It's like, did it ever exist? Did it ever exist at this point? That's how I feel.
It's like there is no respect. There is no respect.
No, it's not.
And it's like you can't get ahead unless you respect yourself.
Yep.
And you can't. You just can't. You got to respect yourself first. Because when you do, people will notice that and they will respect you. And and them respecting you, you will respect them. And they will lead you to more respectable people. And you grow and you grow and you grow. I think kids are just stuck and following.
Yep.
Well, and I was never a follower, ever.
So basically what you're saying is the power structure that have allowed like these things to happen by design, if need be, they've pretty much lost touch with humanity in a sense to where they don't have compassion for thy fellow man, you know.
You know what?
Well, Mr. West, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Parks.
No, I completely agree with you because it goes all the way back to even what he was saying about the phones and, you know, social media. You know, you might have a confrontation with a person and never even see them face to face to have it.
That's right.
You might
That's
have
right.
it
Let me tell you something about what I feel about social media. Wonderful, awesome tool.
Yes.
Wonderful, awesome tool for people with reasonable, knowledgeable, educated minds.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is not and should not be used for anyone who is on anything remotely depleting to life for themselves or others.
Yeah.
That's what's being fed, and that's what people like. It's entertainment in a way for a lot of people.
Right.
But they're not understanding that they're also being programmed and indoctrinated in the process because, okay, perfect example. I took time off. I was bored in New York. I came back to Youngstown, and I just needed to rest and get away from the madness. But then my spirit was like, you need to do something while you're here. And I was led to working with kids. So that's how I ended up at East High School.
That's awesome.
I like East. I really do.
East is filled with kids who need attention and love.
They do.
They need love. They don't need anybody yelling at them. They don't need anybody disrespecting them.
They need nurture.
They need love.
And nurture.
Rest in peace, Faith McCullen. Yes.
Yes. It was so many things that I witnessed. But one thing I do know is the apathy needs to stop. You got to care.
Yeah.
You got to care about yourself. If nobody's caring about you, and unfortunately, I know for a fact that a lot of children and young people they're not getting the love they need, and they're going through unspeakable abuses in the process.
Quick tagline real quick. You're listening to The Media with Brian West and Alicia Sparks. We are talking to my man, Levensky Smith. He is a professional performer, and he is well-versed in the arts. About the impact on arts in the community, Tony Budek could not be on the show today because he had some family things, but I'm glad that Levensky stepped in. He caught me later in the week. We had already released the promo, so if you heard the promo and it's not Tony, I do it. It's okay. We had a backup.
We'll get you back. We'll get you back.
So if you want to donate to the program, you can donate at Method8INC.com. That is the number 8, Method8INC.com. We'd love donations.
Me
and Sparks are working hard hard
Yes.
to be able to give you things and insight that's going on in the world, to try to give you a little bit of mediation, a feel for what's going on. So, Mr. Levensky, Mr. Levensky, you were a part of a fraternity. Now, before we talk about your fraternity life, now listen. I had a friend that was in a fraternity group, and everybody misunderstood.
Whoa. Let me stop you, bro. Who told you I was in a fraternity?
I saw your business card, and I seen some language on there. Were you in a fraternity?
No, those are unions.
But listen.
No, those are unions.
Those are unions.
Okay. No. Wait. No, that's see.
Those are unions.
No, let me go back. Let me go back. Okay, this is why I mentioned that, because this is why I mentioned fraternity, because everybody misinterprets the term.
Good spin.
Fraternity means what it means is a group of people that share the same interests.
Right.
So that's why I mentioned fraternity. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah, but I didn't want to. That's why I threw y'all off. I threw y'all a curveball.
Those are some pretty impressive unions, by the way.
I can
know
imagine.
exactly what they are.
He's got Oprah in the network. He's got some pretty high ranking officials in there.
But I want to go back to what we were saying before the tag. You were saying that you're working with some students and you're giving back to the community over at East High School, and it brings me to this topic of performing arts high schools. You know, I know there are a couple that are in the Ohio area, but there are none in this area that I know of. And I work, I've worked with quite a few different dance companies within this area, between the Youngstown, Poland, Canton, Akron, area, and there is no performing arts high school. What do you think?
There is. There's Cheney. Yeah, Cheney's one.
Cheney's one.
Yeah, Cheney's one.
What all do they offer?
They do like the basics. You know? I mean, they don't have a lot of people. I don't know if they have anybody that's experienced.
I can't speak on Cheney. I really should not speak on Cheney, but I know that they do have a performing arts program, and it's building. It's just building. I think they're in their first or second year.
That's awesome.
Maybe. Yeah. And I didn't go there because I specifically thought, first of all, I graduated from the original East High.
Right.
I feel a respect towards going to the inner city. Because these kids are never exposed, and you know what? Most of them won't even be interested, which I've learned. Like, a lot of the technical dancing that you learn, that is for people who are going to take the dance to the next level, like you, Miss Sparks.
Yes, sir.
And like I've been fortunate to do as well.
Yes.
But they just want what I could do in the streets, which is easy for me.
Right.
Just doing the hip-hop, this, that, the other.
Yes.
That's great, but I really want them to desire the other things, but you cannot force information on people. They got to desire it.
They want to be a sponge.
We were just talking about that on our way up here. I wanted to put on a professional musical for this area. I was thinking about doing one. But right back to my I wanted to talk to you about fraternities and unions and sorority groups, because I wanted to talk about that, because they do a lot of fundraising and things like that, and they try to impact the communities, and I had a friend who had lost his life fundraising when he had a party. So that's why I brought up the topic of fraternity, because it's a union of people who come together, and they're often misunderstood. So tell us a little bit about the unions and the SAGs.
It takes a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, tell us a little bit about how.
Well, the fraternity part, what you're saying pretty much, that's fraternity, from what I understand, it really honestly means a group of brothers.
Yeah.
As you also have sorority, which are sisters.
Women.
They're a group of women getting together. So fraternity is generally men all congregating on one accord. This, that, and the other. Now, this wouldn't be considered that, because SAG, what you're seeing on that card, is Screen Actors Guild.
Yes.
That's the acronym for that.
Huge.
Screen Actors Guild is the largest union in America.
Yes, it's very large.
And every person that you see on movies, television, radio,
they got a SAG card.
Somebody is a part of that union. It's the highest. But guess what? Only about 3% of them are millionaires.
Right.
Everybody else is like, picking cotton.
Keep working.
And that's why I thought it was important that I bring this up, because I was actually in the postal union, and nobody understands the importance of unions and the brotherhood. They don't understand the brotherhood of people coming together.
Unionship, and that could be even segued into unity in the community, like what we need more of. You have to be able, like what the union would do is, for me, they're the liaison between the producer and the production. Like if the producer decides, I want XYZ artists, then the union is going to step in and say, well, you got to treat them this way, that way, that. They get
$100 a day and stuff.
They get this. You can't work them this amount of time without giving them a break.
Right.
You got to give them a water break. You you got food.
Yes.
All of that is what the union is for now. Watch this. If you join a union like, okay, I'm a member of SAG, AFTRA, and Equity. There used to be 3, but now SAG and AFTRA has actually morphed into one, so they're called SAG, AFTRA.
Nice.
And Actors Equity Association is everybody on Broadway. If you're on Broadway, you're a member of AEA or anything regional or anything that you see touring, you should be a part of AEA.
That union.
And if you're on film or television, you should be in SAG-AFTRA. Now, once you get in those unions, you are not allowed to take non-union jobs.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yes.
And sometimes you got more non-union jobs on the market than union jobs. So you kind of get pigeonholed with some really, really powerful projects because you're unionized.
So what do you think about this fight for trying to get community theaters to pay their actors? What do you think about that?
Oh, I think if you're working and you're on stage and you are given a service, then you should be paid for the service rendered.
You know what's funny, Mr. Smith, is I pay the actors at Method 8. I pay them. I believe they get paid. We don't get a lot of money there, but you know, if you want to donate, you're more than welcome to. But we do. But I do manage to pay them. I've always believed in that. I had a model come in, and she thought I was crazy, but I said I've always believed in that. You know, and I don't know if they understood. A lot of them did not understand the business when I came into Youngstown, so. And it was an independent film, but I did try to give them something for their time and their effort, even kids, you know what I mean? But the business.
That's the mark of a good producer. That's it. It's called really an honorarium. You're honoring the fact that they're doing something for you. So you're showing yourself an honor, a smaller token of your esteem. If you're not making a lot of money, that's okay. But if you show an actor or a dancer that you're willing to try, because they're all struggling in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
They're all struggling. So if you're at least showing them that you're willing to give a bit, they're going to always be loyal to you and keep coming back for your gig.
I haven't seen that. I've seen. I wish I could say I saw that.
That's here.
I mean,
it might just be the
from
environment.
a New York City perspective.
Right.
Now, and a Los Angeles perspective, and a Chicago perspective.
Mr. Smith, what is your advice? This is a question that I wish I could have asked you about 10 years ago, myself personally. What is your advice towards those who are actually trained classically in this area, and they really don't see or really don't know the proper steps or the bridge to bridge the gap to get to those professional jobs or to get to those professional areas to be seen or to even get non-union jobs? Like, what is your advice for those people who might not necessarily want to do college and really just wants to jump into the industry?
Well, I guess the main thing I could say, like for a classically trained dancer in this area, you're training. That's what you're here for. And I mean, you're born and raised here, so you began your training here.
Yes.
But it's still a matter of stepping out of your box.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stepping out of where you are and not being in a box. That means quite literally, I'm saying you got to move. You got to go somewhere else.
Right.
Dancers are movers by nature, so you should be out there seeking higher. You got to believe in yourself first, and you got to take the leap of faith and go out there. You have to search where you want to be. And you know what? All it takes is one place, and you'll be led to where you're supposed to go.
Right.
I mean, that's how it happened for me. I had no idea what I was doing other than just loving what I was doing and able to do it. I couldn't even understand what I was doing, but it was leading me to this job and to that job and to that job. So I really honestly feel like the best advice I can give any dancers in this area is to get their tail to Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles. If you're really about it and you're young, you're only going to be young for so long.
That's
that facility begins to, atrophy and starts to break down. And you know what? School is always going to be there. I mean, if you're educated and you're talented, if you're smart and you're talented, your talent in dance requires you to use your physical body, which is by nature deteriorating even as we
every
speak.
day.
Question about I seen they got some pretty good dancers, some steppers up there at East and things like that. So what do you think is the next? Who do you think is pretty hot right now in the dance environment?
Do
do you see any talent out there at all? I mean, anybody who's...
Well, you mean at the school, you mean?
I mean, like almost like, you got Michael Jackson, you got Michael Jordan in basketball. I mean, who's the special? Who's got the substance? I asked you and Sparks that question.
I've been so disgusted with the business that I'm unplugged from the matrix. So I don't know who's out there like that.
Right.
Like, and if you got garbage spilling out of your mouth, I'm totally disinterested in that because that's something that's just taken away from people. That's not helping anybody.
Well, you seem to show a lot of kingsmanship, a lot of superiority. That's pretty good for it. That's honorable man. That's pretty good.
I would have to say that, to answer your question right
Wait
now.
a minute. I'm sorry, Ms. Sparks. Can you just say that again, Mr. West?
I said kingsmanship. You seem to show a lot of kingsmanship.
Oh, man, you know what? That's the best compliment I got this week.
No, I've watched you in action, man. I've seen you at the schools and the way you handle with the kids. It reminds me of, you ever hear when that Lawrence Hill CD comes on and he's asking the kids the question and that's king.
In the class.
Because you've humbled yourself. You've seen great things, and I had an interview with some gospel artists a few months ago, and they were talking about. I was telling them about Dorsey, Thomas Dorsey, one of the gospel singers, and he had went far and beyond. He was a music prodigy, and he went back to the community because he got tired and. He found his place, and that's kingsmanship. That's a servant. That's a faithful servant of the Lord. When they come, they see all they can, and then they go back to where it all began, and they make something happen. That's called that's prophet. That's great things.
So, Mr. Levensky Smith.
Yes,
I love your name. It's like you have two last names as your name. Like, that's so awesome.
No, and check it out. It's real.
I know it is. So, going back to what we were saying before, I definitely agree with you as far as getting out. My mother pushed me, my mother and my father, they both pushed me my whole life until I graduated. And then when it came down to me getting ready to leave, they wanted me to stay in Ohio and get an education. And I was like, there's no way I can stay here. There's no possible way. And even for Pittsburgh, Point Park University was the last choice that I had. I was also accepted into Fordham University with a combination joint program through the Alvin Ailey Dance Company. So it was between.
I work with a lot of those people.
I love it. I love the Ailey Company. And it was such a new experience for me. It was something I had never even been exposed to because I was a competitive dancer all my life. I really didn't know too much about going into the contemporary world. So that was all new for me. But it changed my life even just going there and auditioning and being accepted because I was like, I can do this. I'm a girl from the Youngstown, Warren, Ohio area, and they are recognizing me, and I can do this. I know what I have to do. So I agree with you on that. Now, my question is, I know you were saying that you're pretty filtered as far as, who's out right now, what's going on and what's hot because of the what did you call it? The gob?
The garbage over hot beat.
Yes. Yeah. So do you ever watch some of the shows like So You Think You Can Dance or Dancing with the Stars?
I can't. I don't watch any of it.
I don't either.
It's an absolute exploitation.
I don't either. Exactly.
I worked too hard all of my life, and I still, now look, the only thing, I could tell you stuff that will blow your mind that the Lord has led me to
see.
The experience and the things that I've seen in distant lands and deserts and rainforests and in the bushes and come back to this and I'm like, okay, no amount of money no amount of money can
change
that.
You.
That experience, and my money has never been up per se as like an A-list actor. I've been a working actor, performer.
Right.
I still am. But,
which is a blessing.
Immediately assume because you carry yourself a certain way that you're rich.
Yeah.
Like the kids at the school, they think I'm rich.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and you're rich in mind. Exactly. You're rich in mind.
It sounds like the people who are in charge have went rogue. They've just gone satanic. They've.
I mean, they're trying to appeal to what is now so-called quote unquote hot. I mean, and they're trying to build on top of that. But I mean, there's nothing that has any substantial content that is teaching or delivering a really positive, good message. Even Beyonce, I love her. She's an outstanding performer. I love everything that she brings to the table. But even still now,
she's in her panties on YouTube.
She doesn't even have those. Like those aren't even there.
The first start of that, you got to see. Look, the issue with that is always relevance. You have to remain relevant in the business, and the only way for women to fully remain relevant is to begin to take your clothes off.
Well, they're affecting me. Listen, I like women, and I'm tired of looking everywhere and wanting to bless everybody.
That's
I'm
what
tired.
social media is for.
I can't take it anymore. Can I just have one woman? That's it.
I think that it is what it is for the specific reason. You have to catch attention.
Mm-hmm.
You have to catch someone's attention, and you have to make them marketable. And you have to sell things. And so what sells is sex, drugs, and rock and roll in the industry. And it's always ever been that way.
Yes.
It's just a little bit more overt and raunchy.
Yep,
and
it's louder now.
They shape the children. They shape the men. They shape the children. The clothing that we wear.
Which is fine.
These kids are walking around talking about trap queen. I'm like, I don't want to put nobody. I don't want to put nobody's music on blast because again, that's not. Nothing is ever solved. I believe by condemnation.
Right.
You don't condemn because you got to remember they're trying to eat.
Yes.
But in their eating, they don't care if they they punish
right in the process
and their mentalities with their
music.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad. You're so driven to be worshipped that
they just want money, man. They want to be able to eat,
get that quick dollar, and get out.
And live. The whole dream that America puts in front of you is like, first of all, for the black community, they dangle a carrot in front of you because they think you, and excuse me, I don't know if I can even say that word, but they think you're a donkey's butt. Anyway, so they're going to dangle a carrot in front of you and say, you want this, you want this?
You got to do this.
You need a couple of examples. So they're going to hire these certain type of people that are only going to talk about X, Y, Z, and that's what the kids are going to look up to, and they're going to dress like that. They're going to eat it.
And that's what they do.
I think what I'm digesting out of this whole thing is that a group of people who have been in charge for so long just said they just went completely.
It's new people. It's not even those people anymore.
People
it's
insane.
New people.
I mean, they have no compassion for their fellow man, African Americans, white people, Puerto Ricans, whatever. You call yourself superior and you take over and you start. That's pretty insane.
Don't get me confused. I'm not. I'm a well-balanced, well-rounded person. So, there are times when I do want to hear a little bit of the ratchetness. There's sometimes, but it's a time and a place for everything. And I feel like there's more ratchet than substance. And
that would have something to do with age as well. So if you're in your 20s or younger, then I can understand that you making that statement.
I'm 29. I'm right on the brink.
This stuff.
Yes.
So we're all a little bit. There's a little bit of red dye in all of our water.
Yes.
Yeah. I've completely.
I'm not clean. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm not even gonna lie to you, Mr. Smith. I haven't listened. Sometimes I do turn on the song, maybe every once in a blue moon, but I have not listened to anything brand new. I had on a radio station the other day. I was flicking through and I heard something and I said, "Wow," and it's the beats. They have the same tempo. I don't know if you study music theory, but I was doing some research on monks.
BPMs.
Yeah, monks would say that there was monks talked about forbidden notes. They would have called it the devil's notes, and I think they're using them.
Yeah, I think they're using them.
What's interesting is because you just said the devil. I'm sorry, I gotta say this. Mm-hmm. You know that Lucifer was the leader of music.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and
weird.
The story goes. The story goes for the Christian religion and this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. Before he was cast out of heaven, his name was Lucifer, which means morning light.
Yes.
But he was also the choir director. He was the head of the choir.
Yes.
So he was the head of everybody singing.
Yep.
Mark's mentioned that before.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was.
So now that he's the prince of the air, the very air that we breathe, who's in control of the music industry? Just look at it. And I know the things that people have done.
Yeah.
So you've seen it yourself, huh?
Man, look, I know dudes that have been in there and done things to get to certain places and end up just getting destroyed.
Yes.
Well, I tell you what, it's hard to find a filter in this new environment. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the 10-minute mark. You're at the Mediator with Brian West and Alicia Sparks. We're having a nice, fantastic conversation with my man, Levensky Smith. He is a professional performer. He's involved with a lot of unions, and he's been around. He's very seasoned, very educated.
And now back in the community.
Yes, he's taking the time of his life to come back into the community, which is very, very honorable. Awesome. If you want to donate to the program, you can always donate at Method8.
Inc.com. That is Method 8, the number 8, Inc.
Me and Sparks have got it on. We've got it on lock here in Hermitage, PA, and
every
Youngstown.
Sunday.
We're coming every Sunday with new things and talking on our way up here, and we're conversating with my man. So we've gotten down to the personal part. Like I said, if anybody wants to donate to the program, but I'm going to get to your personal life a little bit there, Mr. Smith. So tell us now, you've done great things. Now, what does a man do when he's done his entire when he's accomplished and he sits back and I mean, do you have a family? I mean, what's your personal life like?
Well, I've been married to my career all my life. The last 25 years, I mean, there's no way I would have been able to say and be on this station talking about myself right now had I been married, because the way I feel about love in and of itself and marriage, it's a commitment, and it needs to be honored, and you need to be there.
Yes.
You need to be there. And I was not committing to be anywhere but in a stage or on a stage.
That's right.
And I just knew what I wanted. So I said, let me pull back and do this. Now, does it get lonely? Absolutely. Did I wild out?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I got it in every which way, upside down.
I love it.
Trust me. I've really been... I needed to stay single, and I'm going to be honest with you. This is it's unfortunate, but it's the reality of it. Half of the reason why I have never married or really settled down and did anything like that is because of watching my parents grow up and the domestic violence that I had to endure.
Right.
I said, I don't want a part of any of that.
Right.
I'm a witness.
I do not want to recreate that because the example is way off.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't want to become that person. I don't want to be able to hit on people like that. That are weaker than you.
And I commend you for that.
Yeah,
I really do.
So that was one of the main reasons why. One of the reasons why, because my parents, I mean, during my childhood and especially during my teens, I had a lot of hatred towards myself.
Yeah.
And it was very depleting. I did it because I felt dejected. I felt rejected.
Right.
I took a lot of flack because I was very artistically inclined.
Right.
Into fashion, all of that. That's the stuff that boys don't do.
Not here.
In the minds of our community.
Yes.
But that's ridiculous because that's exactly the stuff that
we
certain
should be
boys
doing.
do who are mentioned that, like Levensky. So it worked for me, and I had to embrace it.
Right.
For a long time, I would not embrace the fact that I had all these kids. I actually didn't embrace it until I left.
Wow.
So
because that's when it was acceptable.
And to do something with it and come back, and then they started respecting me.
Right.
Yeah.
You had to show. You had to go out and get it. You were like the LeBron of your area. You had to go get it and then bring it back. So I totally understand that, and I commend you for that, because I know a lot of people in the entertainment industry and the sports industry, who are very, very selfish, self-centered. They want to hold on to an individual because they don't want to be lonely, but at the same time, they still want to have their cake and eat it too, and go out and get their career.
Miss Sparks, when I lived in Los Angeles, because I lived in LA at one point, I was in the original cast of The Lion King on Broadway too. Right?
Yes.
Wow.
I left the line. I didn't even want to do it because I was up for Fame LA at the time.
Got it.
And I really wanted to get my shine. I wanted to be on TV, so I was really pushing for fame. And fame ended up flopping.
Right.
It absolutely flopped.
And Lion King is still moving.
All over the world.
Still moving. Yeah.
And I'm still getting checks. I just got a residual check the other couple weeks ago.
Get that check.
Hallelujah.
Get that check. I know that's right. So as far as I know we're kind of like winding down right now, but I have one more question I want to get out. As far as gymnastics goes, I know you were talking about your overall goal was to compete in the gymnastics, and I find that so cool because when I came back after I went back and did what I did,
I remember that.
I came back and I worked in a competitive gym in the Poland area by the name of Kathy's Dance and Gym.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I learned so much. I learned so much because I did gymnastics, but I was never a gymnast. I was more focused on studying Cicchetti and other various forms of ballet. So, I wasn't really well versed in it. But as far as you go, it's very cool to hear somebody from here, a man of your descent from here that is interested in gymnastics, and not even just interested, but in Olympics. So,
it was crazy. Like, I just knew when I saw it, I knew that I could do it, but I I started flipping around the house all the time.
Right.
And then
No
we had
fear.
picnic tables.
No fear.
So I would do the beans
Oh, my
on the
goodness.
picnic tables, and then I started teaching the neighborhood kids.
Nice.
And then I found the YMCA downtown. The YMCA downtown Youngstown changed my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look
The
at that.
YMCA, that was the first time my gymnastics coach was the first man ever.
In your life.
I was 12, who said to me that you could be anything you want to be
Look at
if you
that.
put your mind to it.
Thank
now,
God
I
for
got
the
a
Y.
daddy that lived in the house with me.
Right.
I got uncles on both sides of
Around
my family,
you.
and I ain't never heard nothing like that.
Wow.
You know what?
It came from a Caucasian man.
Wow.
So we look at all of these things. We got to keep our hearts open.
That's
because
right.
it's so easy to point the finger. It's so easy to hate one another.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you, there have been more. I've received so much help for just keeping my heart open.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
it has led
yeah.
me around the world. And you got to
Yes.
trust somebody.
Yes.
You don't get hurt, but it's just like a kid. You know, you're going to fall down, but you got to get up.
Gotta get up.
You're going to fall down. Toddlers fall down and get up. That's your early 20s. You're
Right.
like a toddler adult.
That's right.
You got to
Yeah.
go
That's
through
right.
stuff to get the wisdom and knowledge.
Yep.
Like, I can only talk about what I've experienced.
Yes.
That's very inspirational.
And I feel like also sometimes, you know, within my own personal experience with teaching children and teenagers and even early 20-year-olds is, you know, some things that we take for granted as, you know, being older adults, you know, it's the little things that they haven't learned yet that we can pass down to them and give them that wisdom and that knowledge, because, you know, the little things that we take for granted that we've known for a long time, they probably haven't even come in contact with yet.
Strengthen the communities.
So I do understand.
I got to say with you, from Ms. Sparks, with gymnastics, that was the first love of my life.
Wow.
I was never more
passionate
as a child. I had nothing else but gymnastics. I had nothing. I felt like I could have died.
Right.
So messed up at home and just things that were going on there that I was just like, I need to focus in that. Found it in gymnastics, and I had to forfeit it. I had to forfeit it because we didn't have the money. You know, gymnastics.
Right, very expensive.
Very expensive.
And I didn't realize that.
Yes.
And so that's why I was taking it at the Y until I started getting too big, and my coach was too old.
Right.
So he couldn't
keep up with what you needed to do. Right.
So now you're talking about that there wasn't a lot of support. What can people do more to give to the arts? Not just the arts, but gymnastics and things like that. Why do you think there wasn't a lot of support there?
Because they're not used to it. They're a box. The mind is box. And it says if you're a man, you do football, basketball, and some baseball, and maybe a little track. But don't do anything outside of that unless you're not a man.
Right.
See, the problem is you got a whole bunch of older people with their mentality, their twisted mentality, teaching these young people about what it means to be young, and it has nothing to do with what it means to be a man. What it means to be a man is being accountable and responsible for everything you say, think, and do. Treating people with respect. Treat yourself with respect. Pull your pants up on your ass.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that.
It's agreed.
Beat me out.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Well,
no,
Mr.
it's the truth.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Mr. Smith, we down to the last 2 minutes of the show. I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Yes.
You have about 30 seconds. Is there any last comments you want to make in those 30 seconds?
Or how people can get in contact with you?
Yeah,
I think the best way, because I don't, sometimes I don't have a Facebook page or anything like that because I think too much accessibility creates a whole bunch of confusion. So I don't too much put myself out there. But if one was looking for me, they can get in contact with Mr. West or at East High School.
Excellent. You heard what he said. Get in contact with Method 8. I want to thank everybody for tuning to the Media8tor. We had a nice conversation today. Next week, we're bringing in a biology teacher. He is going to talk about his some of the things that he's been doing. Mr. Smith, I want to thank you for taking the time out to embrace us with your presence, and I'm praying and I'm hoping that you stay on the battlefield with the young soldiers, man. I think you're teaching them a lot up at East.
And let them know.
Sparks is doing some great things too. She's still doing makeup, and she's been in a lot of circles, and she's like I said, I'm gonna make sure that if she has any questions for me, I'll call you first so you can tip me.
Oh no, you can Miss Sparks all of my information. Over the radio.
I got it.
We need to catch up at some point anyway to get a proper introduction. So I just want to say thank you guys. Thank you for taking the time to allow me to come and just, this is off the cuff. There's many things that I would have liked to have said, but I don't like talking about myself so much. But Levensky Smith. Just look up Levensky Smith. The letter L, the word even, the word sky, all pushed together. Levensky and the last name Smith.
Thank you for tuning to the media, everybody. Have an excellent week. You are going out and having fun. Be safe out there. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to the media with Brian West and Alicia Sparks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Listening to News Talk 790 WPIC, Sharon Hermitage, a Cumulus station sponsored by the Ridgewood at Shenango Valley, a premier senior living residence.